we live in, the patterns we carry, and how both shape our lives. Rumi, a mystic Sufi Persian poet, says, everything in the universe is within you. Ask all from yourself. Maya Angelou, author, poet, actor, and activist, says, do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, you do better. I love that. So today's webinar is all about good info. And if we apply that into our lives become so much phenomenally better, pleasant. A little bit about myself. My name is Gulnaz. I am a certified hypnocounselor. I help people make real change through holistic approach. 3 tools, 3 tiers, 1 goal. Transformation, results. Coaching sets the plan, mapping where you are and where you want to go. Hypnosis reaches the subconscious mind to break all patterns and habits. Reiki calms the nervous system so change can stick. Hypnosis alone has 93% success rate in just 6 sessions. Together, these 3 tiers make my clients move forward fast. Joining us today is Hilary Reuben. I'm so excited to introduce our guest today. She is the master, Hilary Reuben. She is an empowerment speaker, master feng shui teacher, and intuitive. Hilary blends 2 decades of interior design experience with neuroscience and the principles of feng shui. It is to create intentional spaces that support our nervous system, the subconscious mind, the physical well-being. What makes Hilary truly special is that Hilary teaches you how your environment impacts your nervous system through understanding the subconscious mind. We now understand that trauma and generational patterns can live within our environments. Hilary is able to shift and clear these environmental stress triggers, clutter, allowing the subconscious mind to release all those survival mode that supports real healing and growth. Her message is simple, but very powerful. Empowered spaces create empowered lives. Please join me welcoming Master Hilary Reuben. Hilary, please join us.
Thank you so much, Gulnaz. I really appreciate you having me, welcoming me with such open arms today. I mean, I think the work that you're doing is truly remarkable, and the lives that you're helping to change and shift the patterns inside, different people. I would like to thank you. I would like to thank everyone who showed up here today, who's watching the webinar, and who also will watch afterwards on the YouTube link. As you know, that when you show up for yourself and you learn, you grow and heal, that's the greatest gift that we can show ourselves. So my intention for today is that all humans who's here today and just humanity will identify what's holding them back and be able to shift that and become limitless.
Welcome, Susan. I see my instructor right there, and she is a phenomenal person herself. Susan, would you say a couple words about you're welcome, couple words about your program and because she is a hypnosis instructor as well.
Oh,
Sure.
fascinating.
I have to say, Gulnaz, it was a pleasure having you as a student, and I am so proud of you to see where you're taking it. Wellness did a webinar for me, and we presented talking about the program that I offer, and now you're branching out and doing more webinars. So do you want me to talk about the class that I'm giving, or what would you like my approach? Or
Yes, in very short detail,
yes,
you can say that because here we are on a platform supporting each other. Of course, I
exactly,
have put it in the chat, Hillary's program and her expertise as well. So here we are learning from each other and helping each other
exactly,
as well.
and
Go ahead, Hillary.
supporting each
Absolutely.
other. So in my program, I started teaching in 2008, and I certify people so that when you've taken my program, you're certified by the National Guild of Hypnotists. There's a lot of hands-on, direct practice. It's fun. We learn a lot, and when you're done, you are ready to practice as a certified hypnotist, or it used to be certified hypno counselor in New Jersey, but now they have to call it a certified hypnotist. So if anybody is interested in what I'm doing, my website is effortlesshypnosis.com. There's info on the classes. I'm giving a program. My next program starts October 11th in Clinton, New Jersey, and online. And it's Sundays, and we have a blast. So anyway, thank you for that time.
So, Hillary, what's next? Please guide us.
Going to go into psychology in college. It's something that's always been very interesting to me is the why. I have this detective mode within me, and that has really played such a huge part of my life, is that the why, wanting to go deeper and deeper and understanding, everything. So Carl Jung, for those that don't know him, is a Swiss psychiatrist and a psychoanalyst. So he was ahead of his time in wanting to know as well, not just with psychiatry, but like really understanding why the human psyche. And he not only, did that, but he was a true healer because he wanted people to heal, the individualism is what is he's most known for. And what that is the fact that he truly believed that there was this disconnect between the human and the way that they were living their life, and the fact that we could all lead this amazing potential and limitlessness, but we had to figure out what was holding us back. One of his quotes here, as you see, until you can make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But the thing is that believed, and it's true, is that you can change your fate. And so, this idea of the shadow side to us, like what shadow sides do we have? What patterns? What is that's holding us back? So I'm taking this idea that he beautifully, came into, teaching us. And what I think is neat is that I'm taking it one step further, because yes, you have to do the inner work. And that's Gulnaz, that's what you're helping people with. And that's what your, master is helping you with, is that it's the inner work. But the fact is that we can do all this inner work, but then if the patterns that are shadow, we present them outwardly and we put them out in maybe into our environments, um, then that's always going to be having this push pull effect on us. So, what you're doing is beautiful, and then I get to, kind of clear out the outer part so that true ultimate transformation takes place, and we can help shift people into becoming more limitless. So, yeah, the neuroscience, shows the influence of the brain in every moment, the relationship, and by understanding our landscape and our outer environment, the power to transform is not just in our mind, but is our whole entire life. So my parents, biologically, the family had a lot of health issues. So my birth mother was going through a lot of emotional turmoil, and with the family, um, my father and birth father, birth mother, um, were having some, difficulties, obviously determining whether to keep me or not, due to all that was going on. And so that we've come so far in learning that the energy that is happening when we're being formed, um, in the euro, not just after birth, but, while we're being conceived and created, that anything that's happening then, around us, the fighting, or the baby is hearing and developing and taking in all of that. So I really understood that by reading The Primal Wound by Nancy Newton Varone. It wasn't until that I really started to understand, oh my goodness, like I was affected so much, like by, I guess what had happened. And then obviously after birth, um, I was placed in foster care for about that 3 to 4 months. And, I found out through my mother too, um, that my adoptive mom, I just call her mom, that time frame, there was not positive things happening a little bit during that time. So a lot of trauma that I, as an adult kind of, knew I had gone through things, but I didn't realize how much of an impact that all this trauma that I had been from as an infant that I wasn't consciously aware of was laying in my subconscious. So the thing is that how that impacts us. And again, it doesn't matter if you were adopted like myself. Trauma can happen and can be all kinds of different reasons, but specifically this is, my story. But the thing is that, we've learned that this can, I had obviously fear of abandonment issues and rejection. It caused me not to trust and to, which was the biggest, is to not trust yourself. You also don't wind up maybe trusting other people. But I had, more anxiety, emotional sensitivity. I wound up having asthma and learning that asthma is actually just feeling neurologically like you don't take up space, that you shouldn't take up space. You're not worthy of it. So all of this, hyper depend independence, all of it was, obviously playing out a role in my life, as I would constantly, as a child, rearrange my room. I had intense dreams, more cautious, lack of confidence. So just overall, I was more sensitive. But the thing is that I have learned that the sensitivity later on, actually is what turned into kind of a bit of a superpower, which is my clairsentient, which is just when you have somebody that's gone through traumas, people become much more sensitive to their environment, to the energy around. And so the fact is that, I started, realizing later on in life the abilities that I have now to kind of just feel things a lot more quickly, than other people. I kept saying, what is really going on? Again, I want to know more. I want to know why. Why, if I'm trying to heal in one aspect, am I really, not fully healing? And it was then that I wound up meeting my two master feng shui designers. I mean, masters. And it was through feng shui that I learned that my, environment was imbalanced, and that in interior designer, the patterns, the colors, the things that I was choosing was due to these, imbalances. So, um, that's when, you know, I started to change those things. And through feng shui, learning to balance, everything out through color design, arranging pieces, that over time I started to feel better. I started to feel more balanced, and some of the pains started, were going away. And then I started to learn that, I could pinpoint a pain, and that if I, decluttered an area, or I moved an object, that it was connecting me to a specific pain in my body. So by decluttering, moving, throwing things away, these pains were starting to just were going away. And so I learned that my body and the environment were completely connected to one another. So, with that said, I would like to see if you might, well, not yet. I guess what I'll do is, the subconscious mind is to speak about that quickly first, is the most important. So the fact is that the subconscious mind is always scanning. Um, and the biggest part that I've come is, I could be feeling these pains, but then again, like, well, why was I feeling these pains? And then why were they, in Feng Shui, I understood it, but I knew that there was a scientific reason too. Because again, just like Carl Jung, he believed in science, and he believed in spirituality, that really there is no difference between the two of them. Everything is always a balance in life, and that's a greatest gift that I've been taught, is balance. And so I got the spiritual side of things, but now it was, I want to know the physical, and understanding the psychology behind it. So in that sense, learning and understanding the subconscious mind, it was teaching me that our body is is always the subconscious is always scanning for danger, is for safety cues. um and we think that our brains are these, high tech, we've created all of this wonderful stuff, we've invented, and we have, you know think of our minds like a computer, and we've got these high-end computers that can do so much, fast technology. But the thing is, the subconscious was, we were designed back in a very primitive state. And that's where our subconsciouses still are, is fight or flight. And so we're only ever scanning for danger cues. So our subconscious wants to feel safe. It wants to feel stable. It wants to feel predictability, strength, and support. And so, you know, we can, anything that we do, that's why we say safety has to come first. Our nervous systems have to feel that sense of safety and be rooted and grounded before we can move forward in anything. And so I think, if we can share the video that on your end, from the movie Focus, that is going to help really kind of segue everybody into seeing that, and seeing how fun it is to see the subconscious, and what, the cues that we're constantly picking up on, that our conscious mind isn't, but that the subconscious is. So if you could play that, Gulnaz, I would really appreciate it.
Okay, one question. Do you want to finish the PowerPoint, or do you want to go jump to that and come back here first?
Yeah, we're gonna, if you don't mind, that will help.
You told him to. Telling him all day. From the moment he left his hotel room, we've been priming him, programming his subconscious. He's been seeing the number 55 all day long. On the elevator, the lobby, even the stick pin on the doormat. Not only that, we loaded his route from the hotel to the stadium. He looks out the window, climbers are everywhere. He doesn't see it, but he does. There's no getting around it. He even sees far. And it's not only what he sees, it's what he hears. The Mandarin word for five is wu. There are 124 woo-woos in sympathy for the devil. So when he picks up those binoculars, looks out on the field, sees a familiar face with the number 55 on his jersey, some little voice in the back of his mind says, that's it. Do you want me to write it down?
The psychology of stress in your environment.
Perfect. Okay, so what you can see, I loved this movie because of this scene, because it really helps, I think, Gulnaz, get across to people again, is that, again, our environment, all these cues. So Will Smith, of course, he was actually trying to land a really big, he's a con artist. So what was happening was that he was trying to set this guy up, and he did a $2 million deal in order to win it. So he kept pretending he wasn't, going to go through with that he lost, and then he would bet again and lose. So at the very end, when he did that, he knew exactly what he was doing, and the guy chose exactly the number, and he won a $2 million bet from it. But so how this relates then, of course, to our environments is now you can understand how the subconscious is reading everything. So in our homes, if, most important is whether or not it our subconscious is supported or it feels the lack of it in our environments. So broken objects are the biggest problem. Broken objects, chipped item, malfunctioning, cracked furniture, unstable structures, as you can see, clutter piles, incomplete projects, or like unpaid bills. I don't have on here, but um, all of these things are saying to our subconscious that it's not safe, it's not predictable, it's we're not supported. So there's instability, neglect, which leads us feeling vulnerable. So in that sense of things, we're going to feel that then internal stress in our bodies. Our nervous systems are just not going to feel very well. We're going to feel, why are we having headaches, migraines? I feel low energy for the day. I don't have a lot of energy to get things done. And it could be these things in our environment that are sending these cues, but we're just not consciously aware of it. So, yeah,
Wow.
moving forward, again, it continues. So the power of clothing and shoes, a lot of people, the outfits that we wear, we know that color psychology, right? The color of psychology. So regardless of if it's clothes or if it's, we know that, again, there's a science behind everything that we're doing. It's our mind trying to create balance for ourselves. So when we have here the disorganization or damage, broken items, it also leads into, again, something that you put on yourself. So environment isn't just your home and the, outdoors. It's also what we're, putting on us. Obviously, it's people that we're meeting too. But here in this case, laundry. Laundry was something that was really difficult for me. Again, it was a pattern within me that I didn't understand why, but the cycling through of getting laundry done and not put away into my closet was something that I just would have this trouble with it. And again, it was a pattern that was stuck kind of within my subconscious that I wasn't aware of. But for someone who's adoptive that had these issues, it was basically my body just saying, I don't know how to be clean. Like, I don't know how to be, um, you know, make the right choices, because I wasn't taught these, things necessarily. And not saying that my parents, didn't teach me. It was just that I was still so stuck in what I had learned at such an early age that I wasn't yet fully out of the pattern. So, unwashed clothes, as you can see here, our subconscious can feel unclean, neglected. So if we leave something like that laying around, that can bring us down. Dirty or damaged clothes, as much as people love those designer clothes that have the rips in them. I learned that, our, mind will instead of supporting us, it's going to be, constantly seeing it as broken or damaged. So it doesn't support our future. It just keeps us in this state of lack. Um, then clothes on the floor. We all, have put piles of clothes, even for me, if it's a pile of clean clothes. But if it sits there long enough, that clutter is going to create overwhelm and scattered feelings. It brings the energy down to the floor rather than rising it up. So when you have a closet that's way too packed, overpacked, you can see that you have a hard time choosing. It's the nervous system. What do I wear? There's too many options. Same as if you go to a restaurant and there's way too many options. That good old, diner does, puts way too much, and your nervous system's just like, oh my goodness, I don't know, what do I choose? So learning to kind of pare that down is really helpful. And then, shoes to the subconscious mind. It's interesting. It's all about how we move forward in life. So if we have a pair of shoes at a certain point of time, whether we had them during a job, phase in our life, depending on how long we've had them for, if we hold on to them too long, we actually can feel stuck in our journey moving forward and feel unsafe and unsupported. So the whole point is to move away from feeling a threat, feeling that fight or flight in our systems, and to eliminate it. Again, pivoting, we cannot always do what we need to do in the moment, especially if we're learning to break out of these habits. So, it takes time, and you just have to be patient with yourself. Um, so, moving forward to cleaning things up, it's just going to be a matter of, maybe you can't get to the whole entire laundry, but give yourself a number. Eight's a great number. Put 8 pieces away. Maybe the next time you pass that pile, pick up another, couple of pieces. So the object is to keep your nervous system in a good, steady, healthy state of mind. So however way you need to do it, that's the best to do. Moving forward,
Yes.
um,
The
we're
power of
talking.
clearing and boundaries. That's the slide. Would you like me to bring that slide up?
Absolutely, please.
There you go, ma'am. It's up.
Thank you. So this is interesting because, again, this is what, again, a lot of people, maybe don't see, aren't conscious of. The inside is kind of more, I think, easy for people to oh yes, I have a pile of clothes, or I have this pile or mess or something along those lines. But even in this situation here, you can see that if you have an overgrown hedge, something along these lines, um, what that actually, is telling, again, our subconscious, is that there's a specific area that feels, blocked. It's heavy. The light isn't able to come in to shine in there. So the chance or the possibilities, the opportunities of new growth in that area aren't going to be necessarily available. It's going to feel, again, unpredictable. Like, is there going to be something jumping out at you from this, it doesn't look supportive. It's growing, off over to the side. But then really what's interesting is that if you see it, think of the house as like you, and then see the hedge, it's encroaching on boundaries. So this could appear somewhere in life as, people showing up where people aren't respecting your boundaries. Because again, whatever internally we feel, we're going to be, seeing that in our outer landscape. So that can play with your self-worth. It will, all these things will make you not feel worthy. um and you kind of shrink, and you don't have the confidence, to do things. So, shifting that alone, all of a sudden you look at the picture on the right and your nervous system says, oh, like, oh, so much better, right? So again, these are the reasons behind it. Most of us might feel it, but we don't know exactly what, our subconscious is feeling literally to have us. So, but then again, businesses, different people are business owners, and so our businesses, and I'm sure a lot of us, will definitely identify what businesses make us feel comfortable when we go inside. Maybe we don't know why, but we can just sense that I don't feel very comfortable here, but I feel more comfortable over here. So what I'd like to share here is that understanding. So again, the minute you walk towards an establishment, your home as well, but an establishment, your brain again is going to be searching for these visual cues. And immediately, do you feel safe or comfortable walking into this establishment, and why? So, if things are overlooked, things are broken or damaged, or there's no flowers, plants, anything that's giving sign of life, again, it's going to drain us and not make us feel welcome, and it's going to, not support our nervous system. So it's really important here with the businesses is that the message becomes, I am welcome, I'm cared for, people pay attention to me, they respect me, I can trust them, and I feel safe and comfortable. So just by adding the color, things that are welcoming, making sure the lights are, there's a clear path, it's well lit, the, path to the door, and the service there is, um predictable, and again makes you feel good. All of this is going to be, the best for a business owner. And it goes deeper and further into business cards and how you're advertising yourself, but at least, for here, that's, the most important. What it comes down to is what's important for me, and the message that I really want you to take away from what I've spoken about today is to look at your space with this new, fresh eyes. Now, that's not always easy because of the fact that we live somewhere, we get, part of the subconscious mind is about safety. So we've learned, Gulnaz, it was great during her last speech, is that since our subconscious wants safety to come first, we actually get stuck in these loops because it's easier to go back to something that's familiar than it is to break away and to do something new. So that's why people say, well, why is it so difficult to start a new habit? Well, because as much as it might not be good for you, and you almost know that, it's easier just to do the routine because that feels the safest to the brain. So in this case, to help us all, get out of that loop, I think I'd love to say that thinking of your space as if it was a hotel. So when you walk up to your front door of your house, when you enter your property, when you go into your home, I want you to be going into it as if you're going into a five-star hotel. So that's what you should be seeing. So if you walked into a hotel, and you walked up and, there was broken flower pots, or, there were overgrown trees, you're starting to walk into the business and it's not lit well. Again, you're not going to feel great. If you saw, a pile of laundry or dirty, socks on the ground or something. So the point is, if you go into your house, your bedroom, really your bedroom is very key, because at the end of the day and the beginning of the day, we call it the alpha state, which is where the brain is the most influential. And so we want our bedrooms to be that space of serenity. We want to know that we can rest at the end of the day, and we can wake up and feel very happy, vibrant, and feel good. So walking into that bedroom should look like a hotel room, and it should be only what you really need to have in there. Of course, it needs to have the practical things, your clothes and things, but like, think of yourself, if you walk into a hotel room and you pull out your luggage and you put it all away, what are the real essentials that you need? Everything else, could you maybe live without it in your bedroom? Could you put it other places, organize it somewhere else? So that way you're treating yourself with the most respect, is what we should have for ourselves, and that's true self-love, is making sure that we feel safe, that we, are happy in our spaces, we have decorated it with items and everything that makes us truly feel good. So that right there is the biggest takeaway that I would have, for this, is that life is a balance, and to achieve it, and to achieve this limitlessness, I think doing the inner work, with someone like yourself, Gulnaz, and then doing the outer work with someone like myself, and really learning how to balance the two, is a great key to move forward.
Beautiful, Hilary. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for sharing such phenomenal aspects that can make, and it's like a day and night difference now. Now, before we move ahead, would you like to share specifically what services do you provide for your clients? And how do you do that, the process? So they can be, whoever is watching, even the recording, they can be clear about your services and the process. Go ahead. I'm going to keep this PowerPoint because believe me, it's an eye-opening. So, eye-opener. So go ahead, Hilary, your services and the process, please.
Thank you so much. So my services would include the fact that, if I do two different things. One, of course, I do speaking engagements for empowered living. So, coming to a home for a private party, or going out to a corporation if you have retreats, anywhere that, you feel that you could, help other people, share this message. I would be happy to go and to, do a presentation, as I did today. And then, obviously too, is going to locations, to the different, whether it's the home or the business.
Thank you. So I'm going to end the webinar with these beautiful guests that are here. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And Hilary, I must say how you enlightened us today with all these info. I can tell you 100%, I did not know any of this, that I, just like you said, I am accustomed and I am trained to work with subconscious, but this outer work that, as you mentioned, is also equally important for true bliss, peaceful, and of course, very pleasant and successful life. So I'm going to close the webinar with a beautiful quote from Martin Luther King Jr. He says, I cannot do great things. I can do small things in a great way. Buddha, a spiritual teacher and a prince, says, the mind is everything what you think, you become. So with this, I thank you, everyone. Your thoughts shape your life. Your space shapes your mind. So choose both with care and love. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that you have learned today. You will keep it with you and use it. Maybe apply one step at a time to see the true difference. Without further ado, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time on the next webinar. Thank you. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
day. You're welcome.